No.
Yo,
What do you say?
Rogan.
Yo, Rogan.
Yo, Rogan. Yeah, you don't watch that?
No, I watched Joe
Yeah, no, I
Rogan.
watched it.
What do you think?
I mean, he's like pretty much accurate. There's a lot of questionable stuff that happened during the council.
Doesn't that mean that the Catholic Church is infiltrated?
Yeah, definitely. No one's disclaiming that. Did you know that John the 23rd was a Freemason?
Yeah, but what do you do with that information?
I mean, what can you do? They took over the church. What do you want to say?
Come to
Are you,
ours.
are you
That's what you
Catholic
can
still?
do.
Yeah, of course I'm Catholic.
Listen, bro. I would rather take the Russian mafia over the Freemasons and the Jesuits. Just saying. Just
Yeah,
saying.
that's pretty much what it is. It's
Aren't the
Freemasons
Freemasons in the Catholic Church, like the Pope and everything?
I mean,
And if that's true, shouldn't you change your denomination then?
no. Like, do you
Invitation is still
believe
here,
that?
Abysmal. I'm waiting for the day. I'm waiting for the day. For the day.
No, I'm pretty sure, like, I've talked with you enough, apophatic, you're gonna become a Catholic. I already know this. But the thing is technically
Just give me a
speaking,
kippah and
like, Eastern Orthodox are Catholics. So we consider you guys Catholics. You guys are just, like, being disobedient. You're basically an SSPX. Because you're not a sedevacantist. You don't believe that, like, the Pope isn't, like, real. Like, it isn't there, right?
we don't believe it's there. It's like
You
not
guys are
real.
basically SSPX.
We're basically cities.
No, you're Society of St. Pius X.
No. You recognize that the Bishop of Rome is the Bishop of Rome, but you don't recognize Papal Supremacy.
Right.
But you
Yeah,
recognize
bro.
there is a
We've been.
They also
You
don't
guys have
recognize
schismed
our
from
ecumenical
us for
councils.
like
No,
1,000
no,
years. We're just
no.
ready
That's
for you
not
to come back into communion.
No, you schism from us. You
No,
schism.
sir.
You don't have the
Pope
history
Nicholas
right.
the First.
Don't
All right, Pope Nicholas
gaslight
the
this.
First anathematized us because he wanted to schism from us. You see, we have 3 original C's. 3. You got
Wait,
one. Okay, I want to make that very clear. Very clear.
we take quality over quantity.
We got Jerusalem, Antioch, and Alexandria. All I'm saying.
All right,
What do you have,
Alexandria,
bro?
Muslim. Jerusalem is Jewish. Antioch is not a big
But
city
it's
anymore.
The only
but it's all
schism
the
that has
original
ever
C's.
the only schism that has ever existed was that between Rome and Constantinople and not the other patriarchates.
What are you
And
talking about? Do you know the incident with Pope John the Third and the Bishop of Jerusalem?
no, enlighten me.
Okay, so Pope. Okay, I'll basically recap this story very quickly. Western monks went to Jerusalem, started reciting Filioque. Bishop of Jerusalem gets fucking pissed. He's like, dude, what the fuck is going on here? Why are they reciting this Filioque shit? This is bullshit. It's never been here before. Writes a letter to Pope John III and is like, bro, what the fuck is this? All your monks and even your priests are reciting a creed with the fucking the word and the sun in the creed. What's going on? Pope John III is like, I would have never allowed such a thing. I don't know what's going on. Even he was so adamant about it that he made 2 tablets in the Vatican, one in Latin, one in Greek, and it has the original Nicene Constantinopolitan Creed in it. Bishop of Jerusalem was almost about to anathematize Pope John III because they were reciting the Filioque. So, I mean, we kind of did a schism. The other patriarchates
Uh,
did schism from your church. It's not just Constantinople that's in schism from you. Hey, it's CT.
Hey, what's up?
Hello. You're like my favorite sede in this whole server.
Oh, thanks.
I mean, at the end of the day, like I think this happened before the Third Council of Constantinople, right?
Yes, I believe so.
Yeah. So if that's the case, that's kind of like a moot issue.
No, you just said that the other patriarchs didn't.
No, so like literally Third Council of Constantinople, all the patriarchs accepted that Rome has not fallen. It's indefectible. They all agreed to the
No,
indefectibility of the Roman Patriarch.
it's not true.
That's true. That's Third Council of Constantinople.
Do you know when that was?
Like 600 and something. Mid 650s.
Yes.
And this Pope John III thing happened in like 520 or something. I'm not even aware of this.
At the
There was
Sixth
John
Ecumenical
III,
Council,
John III of
it did not
Jerusalem,
affirm. It did not
and there was
affirm.
Pope John
It
III.
did not affirm that Rome can never fall. It did not affirm that. If you read the Greek manuscripts, it nowhere includes that. The only manuscripts that are so flowery about the
convenient.
Bishop of Rome.
How convenient.
How convenient for you? What does that say about you if the only manuscripts
Yeah, it's just all
that say this
flowery
shit
language,
are the
right?
Latin ones? Why is it? I mean, it's so convenient for you to say. There's more than just the Greek and Latin. But I will tell you, the Arabic ones don't include that. Why is that? Why is it the only? I mean, Rome is known for forging tons of shit, so maybe that's a possibility here, right? That's a little bit more plausible. I mean, you forged the Sarmakian forgeries, donation to Constantine. You forged
Yeah, but the thing about
some of the
forgeries is just
councils.
because it's a
You even
forgery, it doesn't
forged the
mean that
Council of
it's not true.
Constantinople. The
Even
original
though
claim
it's
by
a
the
forgery, it doesn't
papists
mean that it's
was
not
that the
true.
Council of Constantinople had the filioque in it. Y'all believed that the Council of Constantinople included and the Son.
So quote
That's what
unquote.
you originally taught.
So as part of the Eastern Orthodox, do you accept the writings of Pseudo-Dionysius?
We would say that we
You
accept the
do.
content. The
Stop.
content.
Stop. Exactly. Exactly.
It's not an argument.
It is an argument. It's equivalent.
It's not an argument. As I said, we accept the content of
That's
Pseudo-Dionysius,
precisely my
but we
point.
don't.
Even if they're forgeries, it doesn't mean it's not true.
Oh my god. Okay, so that's not my
So you have
argument.
to take the argument.
That's not my argument. That's not my argument. That's not my argument. My argument was that in order to get us to believe your position, you forged documents of Pope Symmachus
What about the
in
letter of
order to
Pope
give it to us,
Agatho?
as well as the donation of Constantine. The letter of Agatho,
Yeah.
nowhere in the Greek manuscripts does it include the indefectibility of Rome. Okay, it never includes that
Understood.
anywhere. Okay, only in the Latin manuscripts, not even the Arabic ones. So, I
So
mean,
just
y'all
to keep
forged
you on
some
the straight,
shit.
just to keep you on the straight and narrow, this is what is contained in the letter of Agatho.
Yeah,
For
from the
this is the
Latin.
rule of the true faith, which is spiritual mother of your most tranquil empire. The Apostolic Church of Christ has both in prosperity and in adversity always held and defended with energy, which it has been proved by the grace of the Almighty God, has never erred from the path of the apostolic tradition, nor has she been depraved by yielding to heretical innovations, but from the beginning she has received the Christian faith from her founders, the princes of the apostles of Christ, and remains undefiled unto the end, according to the divine promise of the Lord and Savior himself, which he uttered in the Holy Gospels and blah, 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 blah. And when you are converted, strengthen your brethren. Who do you think he's referencing there? And let your tranquil clemency therefore consider, since it is the Lord and Savior of all, whose faith it is, that promised that Peter's faith shall not fail, and exhorted him to strengthen his brethren. How it is known to all the apostolic pontiffs, how it is known that all the apostolic pontiffs, the predecessors of my littleness, have always confidently done this very thing, of whom also our littleness, since I have received this ministry by divine designation, wishes to be the follower, although unequal to them and the least of them all. And it was accepted by all the patriarchs.
Yeah, this is Sixth Ecumenical Council. By the way, that's the Latin document. All right, I just want
I
to stress that very
understand.
much.
That's why I
So
asked you about the letter of Pope Agatho itself, right? You accepted it, right?
how
And
about
then
we accepted the Greek?
now,
We have the Greek manuscripts,
you're
right?
trying to be like, no, that's part of the Latin stuff.
As I said,
Bullshit,
we have the
Sherlock.
Greek manuscripts, right? So we accepted the Greek manuscripts. Anyways, the point is that there's actually a section on the book called the
No,
Rise and Fall of the
don't
Papacy,
do
an
it, dude.
Orthodox
You're smarter
perspective.
than this. Stop.
Listen, I think you're
You're too
retarded.
smart for
All right.
You're too smart for
So
this.
if you read
To the Eastern
Craig
Orthodox
Trujillo's
code.
books, yeah, I think that
Apophatic.
you're sipping the copium right now.
Apophatic.
So
What
I
does
think
the
it's
sixth
very clear.
commandment say?
Abysmo, this
Sir,
is circular appeal,
what is
sir.
the sixth
Circular appeal.
commandment?
Okay.
Apophatic. Honor thy father and mother.
All right. The letter of Pope Saint Pope Agatho to Constantinople III, the inerrancy of the Orthodox faith, as indicated in the previous section. Emperor Constantine proved friendlier towards the Diophilite cause than previous Byzantine autocrats. Constantinople III is a remarkable ecumenical council with fantastic elements, such as the Constantinopolitan Patriarch St. George of Constantinople, renouncing monothelitism mid-council, the Patriarch of Antioch, Macarius, admitting to being the source behind monoenergist insertions into earlier ecumenical conciliar minutes, an admission which is unlikely to conform to historical fact unless the truncated version of Constantinople III sources itself. All right, so it says right here, this document is a letter sent to the council by Pope Agatho. In some ways, it is unremarkable, showing continuity with documents in
It is
earlier centuries.
unremarkable.
Agatho warns
Interesting.
heretics, quote, not to make themselves alien from our communion. This demonstrates that his understanding is that papal excommunications are local in nature, exhibiting continuity with past papal claims on this subject. In the rest of the letter, when read at face value, Agatho extols Rome's synod, not necessarily the person of the Pope. For example, the letter makes frequent mention to this spiritual mother of your most tranquil empire and this apostolic church, with various claims of this church never being turned away from the path of truth in any direction of error and having
You're too
never
smart
erred.
for the Eastern Orthodox code.
Though
Apophatic.
no one can infer, if not reading or listening too closely, that this refers to the whole church.
Reframing the context.
Agatho himself ascribes the proceeding. Agatho himself ascribes the proceeding, to the apostolic pontiffs and the predecessors of my littleness. Certainly, Agatho did not intend that the Roman Synod never erred in a literal wooden way.
The apostolic
in the
pontiffs
past,
is the see of
in the
Rome.
past,
it's not all the patriarchs. This is ridiculous.
In
this
the past,
amazing.
popes
You're
erred
coding,
in
dude.
various ways with varying
There's no way
levels of
around
seriousness.
this. Dude,
Pope
like,
Pope
oh
Saint
my God, the Pope
Stephen
is so
had an
wrong, man.
incorrect baptismal practice that a subsequent pope
Oh my
reformed.
gosh, dude.
Marcellinus erred when he apostatized.
Dude,
Saint
it's just
Liberius
red herring after
erred
red
in
herring.
ascribing to a semi-Arian creed under torture. Several popes erred in their schisms with Saint Meletius and Flavian. Anastasius II erred entering into communion with the Church of Thessalonica, who was in communion with non-Chalcedonians.
Dude, it's just a bunch
Vigilus
of Eastern Orthodox
erred in defending the three
dude.
chapters.
This is all
Gregory
filibuster, man.
erred.
Whatever, dude.
Gregory
No one
erred.
is looking for a history lesson right now.
Gregory erred in thinking it was the end of the world.
Do you
Honorius
accept the
erred
letter of
on
Agatho?
monothelitism. Martin
They
erred on thinking it
accepted
was
the
the
letter
end
of
of the world.
Agatho, dude.
Eugene and Vitalian erred by entering communion with monothelites. So in the letter of Agatho that you just sent,
papal
he's talking about the entire
infallibility is
church.
not included. We
He's
agree
talking
on that, okay?
about the entire
Papal
church.
infallibility is not included, right? But they accepted the
Abysmo,
letter.
Abysmo, can you listen for 1 second?
Come on,
In the
dude.
letter you just
You're
sent.
too smart for this.
In the
You're too
be
smart.
quiet. Be quiet. In the letter you just sent, it's talking about the entire church. It is not talking about the Roman See, because clearly
argument. Oh my gosh, dude. Now that's like the literally
clearly
that's like the lowest
clearly
tier. That is the
clearly
lowest tier objection.
oh my god.
There are
Oh my
better
God.
objections to the letter of Agatho than that. Would you like to hear
As I said,
me steelman a position against the letter of Agatho?
mm-hmm.
For Agatho to say that just because the church has not erred to mean that the church cannot err in the future could be considered a logically unsustainable opinion about what Agatho talks about when he's referring to the fact that the church has not erred.
It's talking
That's
about the church,
probably
not
a
Rome.
stronger refutation of the
It's
letter of
talking
Agatho
about
in
the
relation
church.
to papal infallibility. But to be clear, he is not talking about papal infallibility, and no one is claiming that he does.
As I said, I never said that it was talking about papal infallibility. I said
I know
that this letter. Shut the fuck up.
it is
This
referring to the
letter.
Bishop of
Shut the
Rome. It
fuck up.
is. It's literally low
This
tier argument
letter.
to say
Shut
that.
the fuck up.
Yeah, is.
This letter is referring to the entire church.
No, it's not.
Because
No, it's
Rome has
not.
clearly erred in the past. I mean, it's
It
very
is
clear.
not.
It literally fucking is.
No. The
Oh my god.
office of Peter has not erred. Honorius did. Like, Honorius's letter to Sergius, like, don't you understand? Like, think about it, man. The situation with Honorius and Sergius of Constantinople implicates them both. One, Sergius didn't know what to do, which is why he appeals to Honorius. Two,
It's
Honorius
appealing.
should have known what to do, right? But he did not answer clearly. But yet they are both anathematized. One, because
The
Sergius
interpretation
didn't
here
fucking know
that
what to do.
Agatho's letter contained deliberately Roman-centric
Here's the
honorifics,
thing. Here's the thing.
only
Hold on,
to
real quick.
explain
Oh,
in
no, I
the
got it.
end that these
Apophatic.
applied to the church at
Think
large
about
being
it.
preserved from error.
In the case of Sergius, right? I would grant this all to you, and perhaps I would even become an Eastern Orthodox just based on if hypothetically, okay? Let's say Sergius didn't write the letter to Honorius, and Honorius wrote a letter to Sergius and was like, yo, just stay quiet on this issue. But Sergius didn't, right? And he was like, I'm gonna fucking shut these monophysites down anyways. Then yes, that would be a clear case in which the Eastern Orthodox, the Patriarch of Constantinople did not err and also did not need the consultation or appeal to Rome. The fact of the matter is he did appeal to Rome, and it was that appeal to Rome which convicted Sergius.
It's talking about the entire church. It's made it very, very clear.
They were both stupid.
Oh my god.
But the
It's
fact of the
talking
matter
about
remains is
the
Sergius did
entire
appeal to
church.
Rome.
It's
Sergius appealed
talking
to Rome.
about the entire church.
So when he says
Pontificate,
the
it's like
apostolic
bishopric.
pontiffs, he's talking about the succession of Rome.
He's talking about the entire church.
No, he's not. He's
the
talking
letter
about.
of Pope
Dude,
Agatho
then why does he talk
to
about
the...
Peter?
Do I have to get out the book Papalism by
No,
Edward
you're
Denny just to
coping.
fucking show
You're
this?
coping Matthew. You're coping about Matthew chapter 16 or chapter 16.
You are dumb.
No.
You are dumb.
You're overextending your cope from Matthew 16 to
Okay,
Pope
let me
Agatho's
ask you a question. Does the
This
Holy
is
Church
the
of God
amount of
only apply
cope,
to
sir.
Rome, or does it also
This
apply
is
to the other bishops?
crazy. Pontiff is a Latin word.
Oh my god.
Pontifex
Does
Maximus.
the quote-unquote Holy Church of
Maximally
God
pontiff.
apply to all of the
Who
church
is the
or
Pontifex
only
Maximus?
Rome? Okay, he's not going to answer the question. I will read this again to you. In the rest of the letter, when read at face value, Agatho extols Rome's synod, not necessarily the person of the Pope. For example, the letter makes frequent mention to the quote, this spiritual mother of your most tranquil empire, and quote, this apostolic church, which with various claims of this church, quote unquote, never being turned away from the path of truth in any direction of error, and having, quote unquote, never erred. Though one can infer, if not reading or listening too closely, that this refers to the whole church. Agatho himself ascribes the proceeding to, quote, the apostolic pontiffs and the predecessors. So it says the apostolic pontiffs and the predecessors of my littleness. He's saying that oh my God, he's saying the bishops and the predecessors of the bishops of Rome. You understand that, right? He's distinguishing between the two. Certainly, Agatho did not intend that the Roman Synod never erred in a literal wooden way, because in the past there is numerous examples of popes erring in various ways, extensively. And then he lists an entire document of where popes erred. Agatho, it says Agatho does not, as discussed in the previous section, keeps the conventions of his time. Honorifics were given out like candy. Agatho himself claimed that the Holy Spirit graced the emperor's imperial decrees on religion. The council itself asserted that the emperor is appointed by God, and in praising the same exegeted Matthew 16:18 by stating the gates of hell should not prevail against your Orthodox empire. The same language given to the Bishop of Rome was given to the Bishop of Constantinople and the emperor. So, I mean, it's like,
that's just a hard cope. Then we're all the way back to the third,
mhm.
or excuse me, the sixth canon of Council of Nicaea. The most
It,
plausible reading from the plain text of canon number 6, right, doesn't include a jurisdiction. It doesn't refer to the jurisdiction of Rome at all, which means that it makes a stronger case
how can
that
the
the
Holy
universal
Church of
jurisdiction
God,
of Rome was assumed, right? The fact that it
how
didn't even
can
have to
the
be
Holy
mentioned.
Church of God be delivered from errors if it can't ever err? And specifically, I mean, how can the Roman
Because he's
See
specifically
never
Rome,
err
he's specifically right.
if it says that you have to be delivered from error?
Because he's appealing to the apostolic lineage and not the person holding the office. So
How could you be delivered from error
is a
if you
very
can't
practical
err? That
distinction.
makes zero sense.
They weren't stupid back then. It like okay, so how about this? Let me ask you like a legal theory question, all right? So in legal theory, all right, do you believe that the sovereignty of a king, if a king makes a decree, right? Does the sovereignty of the king include observing the decree of a prior king even after his death? So,
Repeat that question again.
if a king makes a decree, makes a law, is that law still in effect even after his death? This is an important legal theory
Yes.
question. Yes, it is, right? There you go. Why? In virtue of what?
What do you mean in virtue of what? I mean, it's pretty obvious.
Right. It's in virtue of his chair, right? Of his
Yeah.
lineage, right?
Yeah.
Right. So sovereignty is not determined or justified on the person who holds the office.
Okay, so I guess
That's an
no office
important
has erred
distinction
then.
in just
I guess
legal
no
theory.
office has erred then, right?
That's pretty
So
much the claim, yes.
okay, so no office.
You're right. The office does
Not
not
even the
err.
office
That's
of
why he's
Constantinople, right?
referring specifically to the apostolic succession
You
of
think the
Rome
office
has
of
not erred.
Constantinople erred, forgive me?
No, no one's claiming that, but the
No, no one
office.
claims that,
But
right?
here's the thing: Constantinople
We're
is
talking
not
about
on the
whether the
same level
person
of the Bishop
we're
of
talking
Rome.
about whether the person is
Again, it's
indefectible or
hard to
not.
imagine how you can
All right.
assume that papal primacy cannot be understood apart from papal supremacy. These are just basic
So
legal theory
I
questions.
opened up Papalism by Edward Denny, and I think it has a section on this in page 75. And it already answers this, actually. And it provides a extensive refutation of papal claims and arguments. And it includes
Except he doesn't talk over canon number 6 because he already knows he loses that argument. So he tries to
canon
gish
number
gallop
6 as a
everywhere else about actually
primacy
addressing
of
canon number
honor.
6. It's
Canon number
not of honor.
6
Nope.
is a primacy
Nope.
of honor,
Nope.
not of
Wrong.
jurisdiction.
Wrong, wrong,
If you
wrong. You see,
read
that's the
the
thing.
canons
You
of the
can't.
Council
Nope.
of
Okay,
Sardica,
we're
that's
gonna go to it right
very
now, dude.
freaking clear.
No, we're gonna go to it right now. Okay, so let me ask you this, apophatic. Do you believe that the canons of any ecumenical council are infallible?
I don't believe they can err.
Correct. Okay, so then, do you believe that the canons of any ecumenical council in their infallibility require contextual circumstances to weigh in its own interpretation? or are they interpretable from their own infallible character?
I would say that they require some context to them. Yes.
Then you're wrong.
Okay, that's retarded.
Nope.
So if you
You're wrong.
stop
See,
saying nope,
this is the
this is
problem
a terrible
with
argument.
Eastern
Terrible way of
Orthodox
arguing.
circular coherence epistemology.
You don't think you need to interpret canons? You
do
think as a
not. No,
layman,
you
you
do
think as a
not.
layman you
Nope.
can read the canons
Nope,
and just
not at all. That
have
is
it all
not what
figured out, right?
infallibility means.
You
Infallibility
think you can read the
means that
canons
it is
and have it all
precise.
figured out?
The words are precise in its definition. See, that's the thing, man.
God.
Yep.
All right.
You're special
so
pleading.
if you read the
Nope, you're
canons
special
of the
pleading.
council,
It's either infallible or it is not. You're special
of the
pleading.
Council of
You're special
Sardica,
pleading.
if you read the
It's
canons
an
of the
informal
Council of,
fallacy,
can you
sir.
shut up for 1 second?
All right, sure. Go ahead, make your case.
If you read the canons of the Council of Sardica, it explains
whatever.
It explains exactly why Rome was the first, at least on the list of ranking. It's because he was given a specific authority to be appealed to. You could appeal to the Bishop of Rome if you had a dispute within a different jurisdiction. But that same exact authority was given to the Bishop of Constantinople and the Council of Chalcedon, Canon 9. So, when you read Canon 6 of Nicaea, you have to read your papism into it and assume that this is a primacy of jurisdiction and not a primacy of honor. If you read the Apostolic Canon, specifically Apostolic Canon 34 and Apostolic Canon 35, it states that no bishop is able to teach outside his jurisdiction. It
when you
also
refer
states
to
that
the
no
Council
bishop
of
is
Sardica, right.
able to
But
go
then what you're
outside
doing
his
is what you're
jurisdiction
saying is
without
that
the consent
a
of the other bishop. It makes it very
a
clear.
synod is required to interpret an ecumenical council. Is that what your position is? That's fucking
That's
ridiculous.
a straw man. That's a straw man.
No, it is not a straw man at all. That's precisely your position.
straw
That's your
man.
argument. You're saying that
That is
a
a straw man.
synod has more interpretive authority than the ecumenical council. This is fucking ridiculous.
Yeah, the apostolic canons are binding, and they explain how
Either
this
the
is not a
ecumenical
primacy of
councils
jurisdiction.
are infallible or they are not, sir.
Sir, it cannot be a
You're
primacy of
equivocating.
It cannot be a primacy of jurisdiction if it.
You're either special pleading
Can you
or
shut
you're equivocating.
Can you shut up? It cannot be a primacy of jurisdiction if it contradicts the canons of the apostolic canons, specifically 34 and 35. If you believe that Canon 6 is talking about a primacy of jurisdiction per se, then that would contradict the apostolic canons, which you're bound to, by the way, 34 and 35, which make it very clear that a bishop is not able to teach outside his jurisdiction, can't have a papal decree anymore. A bishop is not able to go into any jurisdiction and do whatever he pleases without the consent of the other bishop. Pope can do that perfectly fine.
That's not what we're saying. Obviously, there's a principle of subsidiarity, okay? But are you familiar with the case of Apollinarius?
Yes, Apollinarius.
Okay. So the Ethiopian jurisdiction, even though the Pope overturned the excommunication for, I forgot which priest it was, and it happened not once but twice, they objected, right, to the overreach of the Bishop of Rome, but they accepted it nonetheless, de facto.
So you're saying it teaches the primacy of jurisdiction, even though Canon 35 is very
here's the thing.
explicit.
At the end of the day, the lower councils, the lower jurisdictions still accepted the Pope's jurisdiction.
They obviously didn't.
They did.
No, the Bishop of Constantinople and the Constantinopolitan bishops and the Eastern bishops never recognized papal canonicity and papal jurisdiction. If you read, I would very much recommend you to read the Acts of Chalcedon, specifically by, let me get the name. The Acts of Chalcedon, specifically by Richard Price. Father Richard Price, who translated most of the Acts of the Council of Chalcedon and other various councils that we read today. Father Richard Price is a scholar, so he has a doctorate. And he has one, if not the most extensive knowledge on the questions of the papacy, for example. It's very clear what he believes. He believes that the Eastern bishops never actually recognized papal canonicity in papal jurisdiction. I believe he did a live stream with Michael Lofton and Eric Ibarra where he stated his opinion and why he held this opinion. He translated the documents of the Council of Ephesus, Council of Constantinople, and the Council of Chalcedon, as well as various other church councils. So I believe you should read Richard Price, Father Dr. Richard Price. He goes far into detail about this, especially in his live stream with Michael Lofton and Eric Ibarra, where he cooks them on whether the Eastern bishops recognize papal jurisdiction or not. You can also read Papalism by Edward Denny, which goes through this also extensively and makes similar points to what Richard Price believes in. So no, Eastern bishops never recognized papal canonicity. Apostolic Canon 35 and 34 is an extreme proof of that. First, that bishops cannot teach outside their jurisdiction. That's very clear. Second, that a bishop cannot ordain outside his jurisdiction. Pope does that all the time. He can literally ordain bishops whenever he wants outside of his jurisdiction. He's given that authority and power. Canon 35, Canon 36, Canon 37, all contradict the papacy. Apostolic canons are binding. That's just to begin with. That's not even the start. There are many more canons. So to say that the the Canon 6 of Nicaea is a primacy of jurisdiction is to literally contradict almost every other council. Canon 2 of Constantinople makes that clear. Canon 5, 8, 10, 19 of Chalcedon, Canon 20, 21 of Trullo, Canon 10 of Nicaea 2, Canon 1, 15, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37 of the Apostolic Canons. It goes in depth into a bishop's jurisdiction and what the limit of his jurisdiction is and how much jurisdiction he's to have in these canons, in the Apostolic Canons. It goes through it all. Yet, the Roman Pontiff seems to contradict them all. Why is that? It's because it's not talking about a primacy of jurisdiction in the Nicaea. It's talking about a primacy of honor. This is why the Bishop of Constantinople thought it was okay to make him the first rank, to literally make him the first seat, because they did not recognize it as an apostolic honorific, that it was not the first among jurisdiction BS you believe in. They don't believe that was given to him because he was from Peter, right? They believed that it was on who had imperial jurisdiction. So who had the imperial arms, who had the military power. That's what mattered to them. It's very clear.
Yeah, I mean, you're kind of like all over the place. This is all just Eastern Orthodox code.
Yeah, it's okay. You say it's cope, but I list the canons.
It doesn't matter.
And I make a very coherent argument.
It's not
for
coherent
why
at
it.
all.
Yes, it is.
It's very
and you're coping
self-referential.
now.
It's
Sipping
very
that cope.
self-referential to your own
Sipping that
interpretation
cope,
of
bro.
Canon number 6.
Sipping that cope as much as you want. Take that cope. All right.
It's all cope.
Yeah, you're coping. Because you know that my argument is pretty flawless. If there's a primacy of jurisdiction, then it contradicts every other canon of almost every other council.
No, it doesn't. So, okay, let's go to canon number 6 of Council of Nicaea.
Oh my god. All right. This is getting boring. You're getting boring.
No, the thing is you want to avoid it. I literally bring it up every single time, right? And you just want to like continue to avoid it.
Yeah, I don't avoid it. I say it's a primacy of honor. I explained it.
It's not a primacy of honor. So then let's go to
How do you know
canon
that?
number 6 real quick, all right?
How do you know that?
Well, then let's go to canon number 6. So here's
Canon number 6 actually refutes your position.
So no, it does not.
Yes, it does. It likens the Roman jurisdiction to Alexandria.
Here's the thing. So just to be clear, all right.
It likens the Roman jurisdiction to Alexandria.
So no, hold on. So let's make this pretty clear, okay? So first of all, you believe that every ecumenical council is infallible, yes?
Inerrant.
Okay, so now they're not infallible. Interesting.
They're also infallible and inerrant.
It's amazing, like how you have to shift the goalpost. Do you believe that the ecumenical councils are infallible? Are their statements infallible statements?
Yes.
Okay. which means that they can be interpreted from the plain statements and do not require further interpretation, correct?
They
It's
do
either
require further
clear
interpretation.
or it is not clear. That is the
They
standard of
require
infallibility.
further interpretation.
They do require further interpretation. Okay, so
Yes.
then what is your definition of infallibility?
Is the Bible infallible?
The Bible is inerrant, not infallible.
So is it clear?
It is not precise, but it does not err in its teaching.
You know what I think is precise and clear in its teaching? That doesn't require any further interpretation? Apostolic Canon 35 and 34
Okay, stop
and
the shouting.
36
Let's go
and
to
37.
canon number 6, please.
Let's go to Apostolic Canon 35. What more interpretation can you give?
Can we please go to the canon
He's
number
begging
6?
me. Please, let's go there. Don't deal with the canons
No,
I brought
dude.
up. Let's go there.
Yeah, because the only one that matters is the First Council of Nicaea.
Oh, really? Oh,
Yes, sir.
really? Okay. So you're telling me that you would not interpret the apostolic canons differently?
What is canon number 6?
Retard, I want you to tell me
Why are we not?
how
Why are
you
you
can't
avoiding canon
read
number
the
6?
apostolic
This
canons
could be.
clearly.
Hey, listen. I'm willing to listen to all the rest of your cope if we can deal with the Council of.
If you call it cope, I'm just gonna leave. Why not? How about that?
This is amazing, dude.
How about that, buddy? How about
You're
that?
free to leave at any time.
I mean, dude, your point's just stupid. I brought up genuinely
This
good
is
points, and you just say cope. That's your argument. You're like Donald Trump level argumentation here, dude. Like, terrible. It's like watching the debate with him and Kamala. It's like terrible. Absolutely terrible. Just in like literally nonsensical rebuttals after one after another. If canons do not require further interpretation, then how do you interpret canon 35 and 34?
This is crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy because you can answer it.
No, it's because you don't even know what infallibility is.
Oh, really? If the canons don't require further interpretation, how do you interpret Apostolic Canon 34, 35,
Okay.
36, 37?
So, everyone is aware of the Council of Nicaea held in 325 and how it was renowned for not only being the first ecumenical council but also for its importance in stopping Arianism. A common belief is that this was a gathering of 318 bishops of equal standing, no concept of a Roman primacy, whose collective conciliar authority won the day. But this concept fails to understand the reality of the ecclesiastical structures.
You're reading from Eric Ibarra, dude. This is Eric Ibarra's article.
It is not Eric Ibarra.
This is Eric Ibarra's article.
A hierarchy of bishops with the Pope at the top. An important testimony to this comes from canon number 6 of the same council,
which proves the Orthodox position.
Which let the ancient customs in Egypt, Libya, Pentapos prevail, that is, Alexandria, have jurisdiction in all of these, since the like is customary for the Bishop of Rome. Also, likewise,
likens Alexandria and Rome's jurisdiction.
Let the churches retain their
likens Alexandria and Rome's jurisdiction,
and this is
which
to be
refutes your
universally
position.
Understood that if anyone be made bishop without the consent of the Metropolitan, the Great Synod has declared that such
refutes your
man
position.
ought to be a bishop.
Refutes your position.
Canon teaches, as per ancient custom, there have been 3 major sees, each retaining certain jurisdictions. The main controversy surrounding Canon 6 is whether it is envisioning a trio of patriarchs rather than a primacy of the Bishop of Rome. Preferring the former interpretation are obviously the Protestants and the Eastern Orthodox. While a quick reading seems to lend weight to the former reading, a careful second look reveals that it is not the case. Informed Catholics throughout the ages have pointed out to a few key details as to why any reading other than that of papal primacy does not work. First, considered grammatically, the canon says nothing about a jurisdiction in reference to the Bishop of Rome. Thus, the idea that Alexandria governs Egypt and Libya, while the Bishop of Rome governs some, quote, Roman land like Italy, is read into the canon, effectively putting words into the council's mouth. This does not prove the Roman primacy, but it does help us remind that this canon does not deny a Roman primacy either, since no Roman territory is explicitly mentioned. Second, considering the logic of the canon, an interpretation that renders the canon something to the effect, quote, let the Bishop of Alexandria rule Egypt, since it is customary for the Bishop of Rome to rule Italy, is a non sequitur fallacy. In other words, it is irrelevant if the Bishop of Rome governs Italy, since that says nothing about who should rule elsewhere and especially what land they should govern. The same can be said if it is taken to mean since, quote, since it is customary for the Bishop of Rome to be a patriarch, quote, which
Okay,
brings
let
out
me
the
ask.
logical fallacy
You are just
all the more.
reading way
It's a
too
non
much.
sequitur fallacy.
You're yapping. Okay,
For a
so
council that just got done addressing one of the most pernicious heresies of all time, including using precise and deliberate language for a creed, we should expect a far more reasonable argument in Canon number 6 than what Protestants and Eastern Orthodox have to offer.
this
If
is
Canon
terrible.
6 excludes some kind of territory of Italy over which Rome has primacy, then what is the correct interpretation? The Catholic
Terrible argument.
interpretation understands the
Terrible.
canon to mean something like, let this council recognize the Alexandrian jurisdiction over Egypt, Libya, and Pentopolis, since the like has already been recognized by the Bishop of Rome. This is the crux.
This is terrible.
You can't interpret
Terrible.
Canon number 6 without presupposing the universal jurisdiction of Rome. You cannot.
The Canon 6
Understood
likens
this way.
Alexandria's.
No, it does not.
Yes,
no,
it does. It
then you have to
likens
commit
Alexandria's
to the view, you have to
jurisdiction
commit
to
the
Rome.
view that
That's
it's
why it
referring
goes
to
against
a
your position,
territorial
dude.
jurisdiction. You're
Oh my
presupposing
gosh.
a territorial jurisdiction where it is not mentioned in Canon number 6 at all. It doesn't
So
refer
do you
to
believe
territorial jurisdictions.
that the ordering of the bishops
Understood
was
this
based
way,
Do you believe that the ordering of bishops was based upon the Petrine Foundation?
correct.
Okay, let me ask you a question.
That is the only
Wait.
logical
Abysmal.
That is the only logical assumption that can be assumed from a plain
Chill
reading
out,
of the
chill
canon.
out. Chill out, dude. Stop talking. I'm
Like,
asking
you
the
lose
questions
this
here.
argument.
I'm
Every
asking the
single time
question.
you lose this argument.
Be quiet, dude. Learn to let people speak, man. That's your problem. The ordering of bishops, to your view, is because of their Petrine Foundation. My question is, why was Alexandria placed above Antioch given the direct Petrine Foundation of Antioch?
Sorry, what was the question?
Why was Alexandria placed above Antioch in the ordering of bishops if the foundation, if their ordering of foundation was based on their...
Stop it. Special pleading.
No, it's not. No, it's not. Antioch was founded by Peter directly.
This is
Alexandria
special
was not founded by Peter. If the ordering of the bishops is based upon their Petrine foundation, then why was Alexandria above Antioch? Because Antioch was directly founded by Peter. Why? Why is that the
Because
case?
it's irrelevant. That's why.
Why? You see, you tard. Look at that. You failed, dude.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
look,
we're gonna
it's your
continue,
coping and
okay?
seething. Your copium that you're drinking right now,
Understood
dude.
this
Sipping on
way.
that coke.
Canon 6 is no longer a non sequitur. This canon now has some teeth. The appeal of the Nicene Council is to an ancient custom which surely must have originated on some solid basis, not simply accepted because it's just old. And this basis is none other than the affirmation of the Bishop of Rome. Without question, only the Catholic interpretation of this canon satisfies the intellect and confirms the faith. Especially
No,
when
it
we look at
doesn't.
the context of
That's
the canon
literally
that
begging the
says
question. You're just begging. You're begging the question.
No,
dude. You're just
if
begging
you
the question.
assume that it only refers
You're
to a
begging the question.
territorial jurisdiction, then you're the one begging the question.
You're begging the question.
Nope.
You assume
your
your papal system
No, it has
onto
to be
this canon.
presupposed. The only logical reading is to presuppose a universal jurisdiction.
The only logical reading is that this is talking about imperial status and not the basis of the foundation.
You see, you're
Yes,
trying to
bro.
smuggle in
Yes.
territorial jurisdiction.
You are laughable. This is
No,
fucking
you're laughable.
This is
the
laughable.
amount of coping and gaslighting that you have to do.
What is the coping
it's
that
not
you're doing right
territorial,
now?
It's imperial. What the
It
fuck
is
are you
imperial
talking about?
status.
It's
You know what's
literally
funny?
That's
you know what's
the
funny?
territorial
During
jurisdiction.
this time, Antioch.
Okay, so excuse me,
oh
sir.
my gosh.
In what other context can you understand imperial jurisdiction outside of territorial jurisdiction?
Imperial status does not have to do with Petrine foundation. Status Conatum states that the Bishop of Rome's jurisdiction over everybody has to do with its Petrine foundation. So if you're saying Canon 6 is talking about Petrine foundation, my issue would be is that no, it's not. It's talking about who has more imperial status and imperial
You
power.
did not ask that question in the context of canon number 6. You
Yes, I
asked,
did.
No,
Yes, I
you
did.
asked generally, it's recorded, you asked generally, do you believe that all the other apostolic sees are based on the Petrine foundation? Yes, I do. That is not the same question
This is
as
terrible.
asking
This is
whether
terrible.
or not
Terrible.
the canon
Terrible.
number 6 in Nicaea
Terrible.
is in reference to papal foundation. It is not.
Okay. I've made this abundantly
Do you
clear
understand?
to you multiple different
do you
times.
understand the
Multiple
level
different
of
times.
like literally pigeonhole that you're trying to do in order to retain
I'm
your
not
interpretation
pigeonhole.
of canon number
Literally,
6?
you learn a bunch of terms. You learn a bunch of debate
No.
terms.
Excuse me, sir. You're
Yeah,
still engaged in
yeah.
a non
And
sequitur
you
fallacy.
say it,
Can
and you
you
say these
distinguish-
terms without
can
knowing
you-
what
can
they
you
mean,
provide
and
me
you
a
can't explain to
definition
me
of
how I'm
imperial
pigeonholing.
jurisdiction
Explain what
outside of
pigeonholing is, and tell me how I'm doing that very thing.
jurisdiction?
Go ahead.
So, no. Make clear
I
to me.
want
How
you
do
to.
you
I want you to
understand-
do it.
How do
I
you
want you to do
understand
it. I
imperial
want you to.
jurisdiction as not a reference to territorial jurisdiction?
Okay, it's
What
not
is
a
imperial
reference.
jurisdiction? That's basically what I'm asking.
I
Whatever.
said that the ordering is based upon the
No.
imperial
What does that have to do with
status.
What does that have to do with imperial jurisdiction?
Imperial status. I'm saying that the ordering was based upon who had more imperial power as a
Dude,
seat.
it seems like you're reading more into the text than the plain reading of the text.
You just said, right, that it's talking. Okay, you're saying that the ordering of the patriarchs is because of their Petrine foundation. If that were the case, why was Alexandria ordered above Antioch if Antioch was directly founded by Peter and is a Petrine see and Alexandria isn't? How can that be? How can the ordering be based upon Petrine foundation if Antioch, which is a Petrine see directly founded by Peter himself, is below Alexandria, which has no actual lineage to Peter? How does that make sense? You want to know why? It's not because it's based upon their Petrine foundation. It's because Alexandria had more imperial status than Antioch, bro. Because the emperor was the one that convened the ecumenical councils. Ex Nihilo knows what he's talking about.
You're not making any sense anymore.
You're not making any sense. Have you been recording this?
Yeah, I have.
Have
been
you?
recording it.
I want you to upload this because this is like
No,
golden,
yeah, it will be uploaded,
golden content, golden amount of copium that's being puffed right now, dude. Oh my goodness.
I mean,
But
yeah,
yes,
the
Ex
reason
Nihilo
why
is
I'm gonna
right.
post this is because you have an alien understanding of what infallibility means. Like, I mean, that's literally the level of code.
Yeah, and you're not even engaging with the argument
that
anymore.
explains why you don't have a
Bro, it's like
coherent or a
10:30.
clear
I should be asleep right
understanding
now.
of papal
All right,
infallibility.
I'm getting tired.
You just don't. And neither do you have a clear understanding of ecumenical councils infallibility.
All right.
You don't.
I think it's made very, very clear.
Your claim is that it
that
needs further
it's
interpretation from other historical circumstances and even synods that are not ecumenical in character, that are not universal, in order to clarify what an ecumenical canon is saying or how it's to be interpreted. That's amazing.
If you believe that
the level
canons,
of cope,
if you
that
believe
have
that
to
canons do
preserve
not require
in order to
context,
provide an interpretation against the supreme
okay,
universal jurisdiction of
that?
Rome in canon number 6, right? This
never
is amazing.
recognized.
Why you would even take the lowest position to try to refer to the Council of Sardica? That's amazing.
If canons require no interpretation, how do you interpret canon 35 and 36 as well as 34 of the Apostolic Canons? They require no context, right? Very simple, right? Bishops can't go out their jurisdiction. Pretty simple.
So we're gonna
Bishops can't teach outside their jurisdiction. Very simple. Wait. But here's how the Roman Catholics interpret it with what we call context. Okay? The Roman Catholic answer is these do not apply to the Bishop of Rome, only to other patriarchs. That's their interpretation based upon the papal system they already assume. Yes, we need context to interpret canons. That's why you get sedes, Abismo. You get sedevacantists because they interpret canons differently. I hope you know that.
Well, the Vatican II Council did not declare any new canons. That's a
What
non
does that
sequitur.
have to do with
That's
what I
another.
just said?
That's not a non
What
sequitur.
does
That's
that
a
have
red
to
herring.
do? You don't even know what you're saying anymore, dude. You don't know what you're saying. I think it's very simple. The argument that I'm
special
making
pleading.
is
Your
that
special
canons have to be
pleading
interpreted
for
with a
your
certain
own private
context around
understanding.
them, because otherwise you get sedevacantists in your church.
So we're gonna continue.
Otherwise, you can't
Since you
interpret
brought it up,
Apostolic Canon
since you
34 and
brought it
35
up,
any other way than my way.
we're gonna
And it's
bring it up.
plainly
All right?
read.
The
All
Second
right, dude.
Ecumenical Council, right, of Constantinople, lends further credence from the Catholic position on the papacy. Here in Canon 2 and Canon 3 from this council, the bishops are Canon 2. The bishops are not to go beyond their diocese to churches lying outside their bounds, nor bring confusion on the churches, but let the Bishop of Alexandria, according to the canons, alone administer affairs in Egypt, and let the bishops of the East manage the East alone. The privileges of the church in Antioch, which are mentioned in the canons of Nicaea, being preserved, and let the bishops of the Asian diocese administer the Asian affairs only, and the Pontic bishops only Pontic matters, and the Thracian bishops only Thracian matters. And let
Yes.
not bishops go beyond their diocese for ordination or any other ecclesiastical ministrations unless they be invited. And the aforesaid canon concerning dioceses being observed, it is evident that the synod of every province will administer the affairs of that particular province, as was decreed at Nicaea. But the churches of God in heathen nations must be governed according to the custom which has prevailed from the times of the fathers. Canon number 3. The Bishop of Constantinople, however, shall have the prerogative of honor after the Bishop of Rome, because Constantinople is New Rome. Notice that Canon 2 clearly references Canon number 6 of Nicaea in regards to the jurisdiction and prerogatives of Alexandria and Antioch, yet no mention is made of an alleged patriarchate or jurisdiction of Italy of the Bishop of Rome. This is quite odd. In fact, Canon number 6 was meant to be interpreted in the sense In fact, if Canon 6 was meant to be interpreted in the sense of the Eastern Orthodox and Protestants assign it to, if, however, we grant that the Catholic interpretation of Canon number 6, the omission of Rome here makes perfect sense. No jurisdiction of Italy is mentioned because one did not exist. If it did exist, surely it would have been mentioned, along with those of Pontus, Thrace, Antioch,
That's
and
an assumption.
Alexandria.
That's an assumption, right?
While the Bishop of Rome is properly Bishop of the Roman Diocese,
Yeah, so
as
instead
the
of
Caesar
reading
Peter,
from
he
an
also has
article,
final
how about you
jurisdiction
talk to me
over all the
directly and
churches
you
as well.
answer the rebuttal that I gave?
No. So are you denying that even in a matter of appeals that Rome was the had final appellate jurisdiction? Are you denying that
The canons of Sardica clearly give him an appellate jurisdiction.
Correct.
But that same 1 second.
So,
But that
and
same
if
exact.
it
But that
wasn't
same exact.
enough,
But that
canon
same
number
exact
3
jurisdiction. Hey, shh. But that same exact jurisdiction was given to Constantinople in the Council of Chalcedon, Canon
So
9.
how
Okay, like
does
it's
the
not something
Bishop of
special.
Rome have final appellate jurisdiction in virtue of what, if not his universal supremacy?
Okay, I guess
And
Constantinople has universal supremacy according to you now.
It's not merely an imperial in character.
Constantinople,
That would be
according
a
to you,
gross
would have
reductionist view
universal
of the
supremacy
papacy.
now. We are the universal primate, according to you now. Because that exact same authority in the canons of
Okay, we're gonna
Sardica,
go
which is the
straight to canon
appellate
number 3
jurisdiction,
now of
was given to
Constantinople.
us
And if it
in the
wasn't enough,
Council of Chalcedon, Canon
Canon
9.
3 says that the
If
Bishop of Rome is of
you're
first
yapping.
rank, and
If you
that
read the Canon 9 of
Constantinople,
Chalcedon,
being New
Canon
Rome,
9,
is
it gives
thus
us the
to
exact
receive
same appellate
second
jurisdiction,
rank among
Abismo.
all the bishops.
It gives us the exact same
This is
jurisdiction,
utterly
Abismo.
absurd
Canon
if
9.
indeed there wasn't
Canon
equality
9 of the
among
Council of
bishops,
Chalcedon
particularly
gives us the
inequality
exact
among
same
Rome,
jurisdiction as Rome
Alexandria, and
had in the
Antioch.
canons of Sardica, which is
This
the
only
appellate
makes sense
jurisdiction,
if
a
Rome was
bishop that
truly
you
of
make
the
appeals
first
to.
rank, and that this was universally understood the entire time. In other words, Canon 3 establishes that
Abysmal,
everybody
Abysmal, are
already
you just going to
agreed
read from something or are you
that
going to
Rome
debate
was
me?
ranked first. Listen,
If you keep
it's a
reading for
stronger-
something, I'm going to have to leave because you're not engaging with the
Literally.
conversation and you're just filibustering.
Okay,
Okay?
so apophatic.
You're not-
do you
you're not-
believe do you believe that an assumption that does not have to be stated explicitly is a stronger assumption than if it has to be spoken?
An assumption does not have to be explained explicitly. What
Yep.
what are you talking about? What does this
So,
point have to? What does it have to do with? What does it
implied
do with anything?
assumption is a stronger
Can you
claim.
answer the rebuttal I gave earlier instead of like filibustering?
No.
You're scalping on this?
I mean, we're literally on the same point.
No, we are not.
No.
This is totally different.
This has to do with what is the most.
Can you respond to my
logically
argument? You said that.
No.
You said that the.
Apophatic, all you're doing is pointing to possible
You said.
explanations or interpretations.
You said.
rather
You
than
said
the most
that the
plausible
Pope.
interpretation.
I gave the most
Apophatic,
plausible.
do you agree that plausibility does not? Mean
I gave the most plausible interpretation, Abysmal, because you're retarded. You didn't hear what
Wrong.
I gave a
Wrong.
pretty clear argument.
No,
Abysmal,
like
you're
literally,
retarded.
I spent
You are
literally the
retarded.
past 15 minutes talking about what the most plausible.
I'm just going to
interpretation
overtalk you now and
of
just
canon
tell
number
you what I
6 is
said earlier
apophatic.
because you will not
Apophatic.
listen. I
Well,
made
well,
it
you're
very,
the-
very
hey,
clear earlier
You know
that
what? At
in the
this
Canon
point,
6 of the Council of
I'm
Nicaea,
rubber and
it
you're
is
glue.
about
Whatever
imperial
you say to me
status.
bounces off of me and
It is
sticks
about
back to you.
imperial
No, I-
status. If it was based upon the Petrine Foundations,
dude.
if
This
it
is
was based upon the
ridiculous,
Petrine
dude.
Foundations,
No,
why
that's called-
is Alexandria over Antioch? Can you
You're
tell me that?
special
You
pleading.
can't answer
You're
that
special
question.
pleading.
If
Oh,
your
imperial
interpretation
jurisdiction.
is so true,
That's the
why did
definition of
Alexandria
special pleading.
have authority over Antioch?
What a
Or forgive me,
you're just
had
making you're creating a
ordering
double
over
standard.
Antioch.
Nowhere
Can you answer that question?
Does it ever talk about jurisdiction in terms of land? There's no.
If you don't
territorial
answer the question,
jurisdiction
I'm gonna
that
have
is
to leave.
implied
I'm
or
gonna have to leave. If
presupposed.
you don't answer the question, I'm gonna have to leave because you're not debating in good
presupposing
faith.
it. You're presupposing a form
You are not
of
debating
the
in good
least
faith.
plausible interpretation of Canon 6. As simple as that, dude.
You're not. It's as simple as that. You're not debating in good faith. I'm making that very clear because I
This is
presented an
crazy,
argument to
dude.
you, a rebuttal. I said if the Canon 6 was based upon the Petrine Foundation, why was Alexandria ordered above Antioch if Antioch was directly appointed by Peter himself? It would make more sense
because it's
if it was based.
irrelevant.
No,
irrelevant.
sir.
Let
It
me-
would make more sense to put Antioch above Alexandria because of the Petrine See. If it's based on the Petrine Foundation, dude. Are you serious?
Okay.
This is retarded. Why do you keep muting yourself?
So listen, the crux of Canon number 6, right, is it's not about the papal foundations. Okay, he's just muting. Yeah, whatever.
That is the stupidest thing I've ever heard. This is a terrible argument. Terrible. I gave a rebuttal. You can't answer it. It is what it is. Just be honest. Be honest that you
No,
can't
no,
answer or give an
apophatic.
argument against my rebuttal.
You lost. You lose.
You lost,
You're
bro.
offering possible explanations rather than the most plausible.
I
And then,
actually
in
offered the
order
most
to-
plausible
right,
explanation.
In order to make
I
a case for
offered
no,
the
no,
most
no, no, no,
plausible explanation.
No, it is not.
I
This whole-
offered
you
the
know,
most
your appeal-
plausible
your special
explanation.
pleading-
Given
your
the
special pleading
context
for an
of
imperial
a
interpretation.
1,000 years of church history,
Nowhere
2,000 years
is
of church
that
history,
insinuated
I gave the most
anywhere in
plausible
Canon number 6.
explanation.
Canon number 6 completely excludes any reference.
This
to
is
a
an appeal to
territorial-
parsimony. It's not an argument. I made the most plausible.
Stop it. Stop it. Like seriously,
I made the
stop
most
abusing.
plausible explanation.
Stop
of this
the
novel.
muting.
I'll do it again. I will do it again, very clearly,
Listen,
because you
You're
can't
special
learn.
pleading.
You can't
You're
learn to
special
let people
pleading.
speak. You cannot learn
you're
to let people
special
speak.
pleading.
Okay, you're gish galloping. How about that? I'll just say random words too. How about that? I don't know what they mean. Totally.
This is-
Well, I do,
you're,
but
you're just
you don't.
coping. Apophatic
You're
is
coping.
cope.
You're sipping
too
the copium.
smart. You're too smart.
You're sipping
not
the copium
to
right now, dude.
recognize non sequitur fallacies.
Dude, I need you to upload this. That is going to be the funniest thing
oh,
imaginable.
Yeah, dude, it's
to watch.
definitely gonna get uploaded. Trust me.
I want to see it. I want to see it.
This is crazy.
Because
we have
you
here,
cannot
like,
let somebody else speak
literally
when you're in a conversation with them.
pleading
You just
for an
constantly
for
overtalk,
an
dude.
interpretation of an imperial jurisdiction.
Oh my
Tell
gosh.
me then, how can you understand imperial jurisdiction outside of a reference to a territorial jurisdiction? You can't.
Constantinople one is
So
not accepted
apophatic,
in the
according
West
to
for a
you,
long
what does
time. Wait
imperial
after Leo and
jurisdiction
Chalcedon. True.
What-
So
what-
the
what-
East
what
put
is-
the
what is-
canon there, thinking that we believe in
Yo.
Constantinople. I as a second council. So here we are at the fourth council,
Stop
Chalcedon. Pope
detracting.
Leo says, I don't
Apophatic.
recognize Constantinople
Stop
I as a
detracting.
second council. Why? Because Constantinople I was convened by St. Meletius of Antioch. The Cappadocians were present because of the Trinity, but the Latin Church was in schism with St. Meletius, true, and did not recognize that council, true. Rome was not at that council, true. None of the legates were at that council either. Was any of Rome present at the council? Guess what? Centuries later, after Leo, Rome retroactively accepts Constantinople I as an ecumenical council. So the people who called this council died out of communion with this council, no connection to the Pope at this time. Rome retroactively accepts it as an ecumenical council. Chalcedon is citing Constantinople I in the canon, saying, let's take Constantinople/New Rome and make it equal to Old Rome. But the dispute is that it displaces the honor given to Antioch and Alexandria from Leo's vantage point. That's actually what Pope St. Leo said in his letter to the bishops of Constantinople in response to Canon 28. It says right here, but the Byzantines are saying this is the imperial city, so it should be made. It's not about universal jurisdiction. So ex nihilo is presenting what you would say the most plausible explanation in the side chat. I think it's very clear. So Leo didn't veto Chalcedon Canon 9 because of universal jurisdiction. It was against it or ordering. Yes, exactly. Pope St. Leo did not veto Chalcedon 28. No, he didn't veto Canon 9 because Canon 9 was about the canons of Sardica, but he didn't veto 28 because of his pontificate universal supremacy. He vetoed it because he believed it contradicts the Canon 6 of Nicaea and the ordering that was given at Nicaea. Right? That's the entire debate.
It's a non
That's
sequitur.
the point.
It's a non sequitur.
Okay, let me just abysmal. That's a non sequitur. That's a non sequitur. How about that? Is that an argument?
Yeah, I mean it's an informal fallacy. So
Abysmal, you're committing an informal fallacy. Non sequitur, right there. Go get him. How about that? Is that an argument?
And you're special pleading for this imperial jurisdiction, which is basically the same thing as a territorial jurisdiction, but like
Imperial status does not equal universal
excuse me, apophatic, you're
supremacy.
making a virtual distinction. It's not a real distinction, it's a virtual distinction.
Sir, I said imperial status, not imperial jurisdiction.
Amazing, dude. It's an imperial status, not an imperial jurisdiction. Then what do imperial matters pertain
I love
to,
that
my
you're
friend?
laughing at yourself, dude. I would laugh at myself too if I was debating the
My
points that you're making.
son! My
Okay.
son! Dude. Dude,
Were your
apophatic, I would
parents
have loved to
Catholic?
have I would have loved to have a child like you.
Were your parents Catholic?
You'd be a child after my own heart, apophatic.
Were your parents Catholic, sir?
Yeah, absolutely.
See, that's why. Okay, now I know. That's why you're defending your parents' legacy. I really do admire that.
No, I'm not defending my parents' legacy at all.
Yes,
That's
you're
not how
defending the
Catholics
fact that
operate.
they're not burning in hell right now, and I just want to say I admire that.
This is amazing. This is amazing.
I admire that, Abysmal.
So apophatic,
Listen, man, if
apophatic,
I
on
was
separate
born
note-
a part of the Roman
okay,
Catholic Church
okay.
and I had a devastating argument,
We're
I
gonna-
would
we're
try
gonna-
to come
we're
about
gonna
it
move
too.
on this. We're gonna move past this.
Especially if I
Let's
was
change
born
the
in a Roman
topic.
Catholic family.
Apophatic. Let's change the topic. Hey, you're a child after my own heart, apophatic. If I had a son, I
That
would
sounds gay as shit. That sounds gay as shit, dude.
That's not gay at all, dude. What are you talking about? Dude, like you're old enough to be my son, man. Like, what else do you want me to say? Like, if I had a child when I was like 18, like, yeah, you'd be my son, dude. That's just the way it is. It's just the way it is. I mean, that's the reality of coming to terms with someone's age, right?
All right.
It's
Good
natural,
night.
dude.
Have a good
No, no.
night. Have a good night.
Have a good night, apophatic. Go to bed now, my son.
Ex nihilo, at least you get it. At least you have a brain to understand. And I very much appreciate that. Oh my goodness.
You're special pleading.
Ex nihilo is a man after my own heart. I mean, look at that. This is beautiful.
Okay, now that
beautiful
sounds gay,
explanation.
dude. Now you're being gay, dude. Go to sleep, apophatic. The demons are getting to you. Just fall asleep.